Bueno, bueno, bueno. Hola. Bueno, bueno, bueno. Hola. Ah. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, everyone. I need you guys to please do me a favor. Please share me out. We're going to have some discussion here today that's very, very important. I'm going to unload some real things that it's a discussion we need to have as a collective. So I ask that you please, if you can, show some support and share this out. Hope everybody is doing well today. Hello, hello. Thank you guys for being here. Please share out. I'm just asking for a few minutes of your time. But it's a topic that we need to have. We need to have this topic of discussion. It's long overdue. I'm just sharing out as well. Let me share out real quick and we will get started. Hope everybody's having a good Monday. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're from. Just sharing a couple other places. Let's see who we do have in the house. I'm streaming now, guys, so I hope you enjoy the we got Canada, Ohio. Let me see what else we got here. Let's give it just a few minutes to let some people. Hey, Marge. Let's see who all we got here now that I can see comments. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Debbie, Dawn. Hey, Vicky, Renata. Amanda, Josie, Cheryl, Stacy, Crystal. Hey, Dodie. Hey, Terry. Hey, Ashley. Hey, Christina. Please share out. This is really, really important. Hey, Diane. Miss Sanchez. Rivera. Misha. Ooh. Hey, Wendy. Amanda. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to have a tough topic today, but it's very, very, very important. And I'm going to share some stuff with you that is very personal, but it's very. I've been debating for the last couple days of sharing this information. That's why I would really appreciate if you help me share this out. I've been debating for a couple of days to go this deep with you guys. You know, it's a little different when you're on this platform and you pour your heart out to people, because there's always those haters. I mean, I've got people that I worked with and before that come back and try to cause me issues, and so it's a constant thing, right? So to jump up here and really put yourself out there, it's a lot, and it can be a very nerve-wracking at times, to say the least. But this is an important topic that we really need to have. We all need to have with each other. Let's see. And once I get into it, yeah. Thank you, Nina. And, I'm going to go a little bit deeper with this. Oh, I almost forgot. Let me, almost forgot. This little video phone, I can't see anything. Okay. With this kind of conversation, it's really hard to have it because so many don't want to talk about it. And that's exactly why we need to talk about it. Let's see. If somebody could share me into Live Workers live feed, please. But we do need to have this conversation, okay? And let me go back here. Let me do this one last thing, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, there we go. All right. All right, I'm done. Sorry, my phone is just so slow. Okay. Let's go back. All right, so let's so guys, I'm gonna kind of tell you what led up to here, okay? That's what I'm going to do, is what's led up to here. Because it's, like I said, I feel it's really, really important that we have this conversation. Yeah, I'm sharing to groups. I'm sorry. I had someone attack my Tanya Lee page. Like I said, when you put yourself out here, the people, they just attack. And, it's part of it. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's just part of it. Anytime you want to do something and you throw yourself out here to the public, this is what happens. And that's okay. It sucks. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's just the way it is. So you take the good with the bad, just like anything. There we go. Now I can see comments better. All right. So we're going to have this conversation, okay? And as I go into this conversation, please know that I won't be reading comments, okay? And just so I can stay focused, okay? So with that being said, we're going to move this over a little bit. Now, what am I talking about? All right. I don't really ever discuss my age because I don't really feed it, and I don't like it. But, this is something that I'm very knowledgeable on because of my age. And with everything that's going on, it's really time for me to step up and talk about this. Something that I've wanted to talk about for a while, but as a victim, it's not something that you really just jump out there and talk to people about, okay? So as I pour my heart out here to you guys, please be kind enough to at least, share and support, okay? Okay, here we go. Now, I know that a lot of you all know my story. I've been very open about my story. There's bits and pieces that I haven't shared because, when I shared it, I was sharing it on a live. But due to the world events, I'm going to go ahead and share that. And I'm going to go ahead and share some downloads that I've gotten from my spirit guides. My, main guy, his name is Child Lord. And I channel him very often, all the time. And sometimes y'all will see him come out in my lives and stuff like that. Now, guys, I know that most of y'all, if you don't know, I come from, a very abusive background, okay? Very abusive. I had a stepfather that used me in armed robberies. I was with him when he kidnapped people, when he did horrible things to people. This was stuff I witnessed at 7 and 8 years of age. This is why I left home when I was 10. Now, I was very defiant, so I never listened very well. So that caused me to get a lot more knocks upside the head. So an abused child isn't a very pretty pictured person, okay? Meaning that my stepfather had a porno room that children were taken into. But I wasn't, because, I got beat on a lot. A lot. And so I wasn't picture perfect for that kind of behavior. And that kind of is the only reason why I didn't end up over there. But as I go through and I see what all is going on in the world, and so many people are in disbelief, and, and it's a real subject. It's a real issue that needs to be discussed, because what happens is we all become complicit. All right. Now, when I was younger, there wasn't a foster care system for older children. It stopped at like age 3. In Oklahoma didn't even take foster kids until I think it was 80 or 81, something like that. And I was already out of the system and had my own house and car, and I was 13. But I did spend some time in the system. And in the system, you also saw children that would go for checkups and never come back. So, kids being taken, living on the streets, I saw a lot of things. And so all this stuff is real. Now, as I got older, I didn't really talk about it. In fact, I didn't even really talk about anything about my past. I never admitted anything that had happened to me until I was late in my 30s, because it was just coming out. The shadows always come out. That's why I tell you, you have to work with your stuff. You have to work with it, or it will come back, and it'll keep cycling back and back and back. So I did do a lot of work, and then I got into this stuff, and you'll know my story, my husband, my mother, my brother, and here I am, okay? Now, why do I share that? One, because I'm telling you from the core of my soul that this kind of information that you're hearing that happens to children is very, very, very true. Okay? Very, very true. And people, now here's where it's going to get tough, so just bear with me. Everybody is complicit to this, okay? And not intentionally. Nobody wants, well, not nobody, most of us do not want this kind of stuff happening to children. But yet we see the numbers growing and growing of kids missing every year. And we don't question the system. Okay? We don't question, well, what's going on? We hear the stories of the CPS. We hear the stories of the children with their parents. But yet we don't question what's going on. Right? We have become blind to paying attention to that, me included, all of us, okay? And people like me that know about it, we don't want to talk about it because then we have to share our story. So there's many people like me that don't want to talk about things because we have to tell our story. Now, I don't mind telling my story because I've healed from my story. But there's parts of my story that still make me tear up. And always will. Because that's how deep it goes. But here we are, as a nation, fighting like cats and dogs. And the one thing that we could be fighting for, we're not fighting for. And everybody is learning about it. And I don't mean to fight and go burn down buildings. What I mean is to speak up. Martin Luther King ran a great protest. And he did sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Did everything quietly, didn't he? You didn't see him rant and rave. You didn't see him acting like a fool or anything like that. And I know that Black Lives Matter. I know that all life matters. I know that police lives matter. I know all children's lives matter. And that's the whole thing, is that we've got to step away from the separation. There's always going to be those people that want to be rapists or racists or pedophiles. Okay? We cannot change that. Okay? All we can do is hold accountability for people's behavior. Okay? But we cannot change the mindset of people. And the Black Lives Matter, I know there's a lot of good protesters in that don't want to be classified with Antifa and stuff, but they're doing the same gaslighting. It's like, hey, we're protesters over here, but we're not rioters. And we're not Antifa, right? But isn't that what we're saying about the police? Not all police are the police that have killed black people or white people or any people, right? So it's the exact same thing, but yet nobody's seeing this. Everybody's just in the emotion and the rage. And we've got to step back from that. You've got to quit letting whatever you got going on inside of you fuel the fire. And we've all turned a blind eye. In the midst of all our emotions and commotion and all this ruckus that we have going on over here, we've turned a blind eye to what's going on over here. And that is the most horrific thing. It's horrific. It's unimaginable. Because the demand over time, as somebody that survived, I look at it now and I'm like, shit. It wasn't even near that level back when I was younger in it. It was still bad, but it's not near the level it is. But then we also didn't have, companies abroad. We didn't have, that trade agreement, right? So we didn't have products, and a lot of things were made in America. We didn't have that call for slavery products. We didn't have the wild web like we have now, where people can get around and use different avenues to reach out and get these children and sell and buy. We also, didn't have the medical technology that we have now. It's not just about sex and slavery, but it's also organ harvesting. And that's a big one. And I'm working on some facts, and I will be posting them in that group that I've created called Dark to Light that's dealing with this subject. The organ harvesting is a huge business, and the studies that I've found so far, and this will blow some of y'all's minds, but the studies that I've found so far, they can take that organ and modify it to make it an adult size organ. And they're sold on the black market. Now, it's a very hard, trail to find. But the list of people that need hearts and lungs and kidneys and livers is humongous. It's a very, very large demand. So children are used to help fill that demand. And so are the states that do the abortion past the 6 months. Back when abortion started, it was only during the first trimester. And some states have taken that further to full term. Now, I am not going to say anything about somebody that might need to do that in the first trimester, because that's not my cross to bear for them. That's for them, okay? But when we're going into full blown all the way to the end, and a lot of times, this is a whole thing. You guys are not seeing the real news, okay? Everything is about the protesting, and even though the issue of cops being taking advantage of their power is important, it's very, very important. And please keep sharing out if you can. It's very, very important that we pay attention to what's going on that people don't put out there. And you actually you can't follow the mainstream media. Okay? So, with that being said, there's so many things that are happening on the sidelines, all the different things that are being, executive orders. We've got a lot of things going, testimony that's going on. Do you guys realize that Planned Parenthood is in court again? Do y'all realize that? And they're admitting. Do you realize that in June, Miss Clinton went to court and will be back in court in September. I mean, do you realize that, you know, the files for that Maxwell will be released to the public? I mean, do you not? Everybody is so feared between the riots, because now they're not protesting. Okay, that's not protesting when you're burning down and destroying property to the level that they are. Okay, that's not rioting. All right. Now, I'm not saying there's not protesters doing the right thing, because we all have a right to protest and do that. But now everybody is being lumped up, so now they're all in this one little thing. Just like the cop, that one cop, or not just one, but, you know, there's several cops that are bad, and now all the police are bad. So the very thing that they're out there marching on is happening to them. So it's a cycle. We as America are going through this cycle over and over and over. And we're not going to get out of this cycle until we get down to the core of the problem. And the core of the problem is very, very ugly. And nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to address that. Nobody wants to send love and light out to them. And this is where I come in and you know, as a survivor of abuse and a survivor of a lot of different crazy things, I know how important it would be, you know, to get that feeling of energy, that energy of love, just out of nowhere in such a dark place. Okay? That's very, very important. I'm going to read you some statistics. Okay? And these are statistics that are pulled off a verified site. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that no lives that perish are not, doesn't mean anything, okay? So let me make sure that I say that clearly, because, you know, no police officer should take advantage of their authority. And to be honest with you, the whole problem of this whole system and everything that's fucked up about it is accountability. And that lies on our shoulders. Now, this is a part you're not going to like, and I'll probably lose some viewers over this, but we bear that. We bear that cross. We bear that cross because we've been silent, because we don't vote, because we don't pay attention, because we're not watching, we're not holding accountable. So everything from the police system, why do we have that going on? Well, we have unions, we have the trouble that they get into for having assault cases or doing anything it's not cut off, right? It can just grow and grow. Like that gentleman with, you know, that happened. He had 7 cases prior to that. So how do you get to that far? Why is something not done after the first case? You know, why are we not addressing that, and damn sure not doing something about it on the second case? Because those systems aren't in place. Because there's no accountability. There's no accountability to the unions. There's no accountability to the department. Just like in politics, there's no accountability in Congress. There's no accountability, you know, in the House of Representatives. There's no accountability to the president. There's no accountability. There's no accountability. And we, the people, have allowed this. Because we're stuck in this victimhood. We're stuck in this mental way of thinking that they hold power over us, instead of realizing we are the people with the power and standing up and demanding change. Not in a violent way, but that we're demanding change in a proper way. Right? We all have that right to do that. And the problem is that it's not being done. It's not being done. And that's because people are preoccupied. People are scared to talk about it. People are, you know. And now we have the COVID. And now, you know, we had, I don't know how many doctors it was. It was a ton of doctors get up and they put themselves on blast on a live, throwing their license and everything out there to stand on truth. And and how many of us know Big Pharma does things to prevent the better health of us? How many of us know that? But we're like, yeah, isn't that a shame? Oh man, that sucks. Oh man, that sucks. So we're just doing the same thing. Just like, we're saying, oh, well, that's horrible that happens. Oh man, that's horrible. But horrible and do what? And I'm not invoking, aggression, but, there's got to be solutions. We have to say something. And, I might lose my page. I might lose viewers. I might, I don't know, just by doing this now. But, we can't be afraid not to stand up and say something or be a part of something that's for something good. We can't be in fear. How do you expect to have the best life that you want? You come to us light workers. And this is where I'm going to get probably piss some people off too. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but I'm just being honest here. And I have to give you the message that I got. My spirit guide, which is, we've all been complicit, so it's time for us to not be complicit anymore. It's time for us to think of different things that we can do. Awareness is big, but we can't just blast it as, haha, left, right. Fuck left, right. This isn't about politics. Fuck politics right now. This really isn't about that. I don't care who you're voting for. I really don't. Because what's important here is what we do about our situation. Because everybody that's up in, Congress and the House and even runs for president, except for Trump, because he's never been a politician before, so that's the first one. But they all start on a city level. How many of y'all know your city councilman? How many of you know who your mayor is? How many of y'all voted for that? How many know what's really going on in your school systems? How many of y'all really know what, when they do the voting for the laws in your state, how involved are you? See, the system was set up good for us. No matter what you want to think of the founding fathers is irrelevant. They set up a good system. And if we use that system correctly, then we're able to do something and make changes. But if we're in our emotions and everybody's just fighting and we're in this rage and fear, nothing's going to be accomplished. Nobody's going to hear. Nobody's going to give a shit. It's going to be a free-for-all. And that's what it is right now. Do you know that, to put military in a city, as what's been called, which they do have a right to do because it is federal property, so the government does own it. And it's like, how far do we got to go? If you want to do some history, go back and look at in the Vietnam days and those protesters. Do y'all know do y'all know your history? Do you know how that ended? Do you know what made the riots and the protesting stop? When snipers went out and shot a few people. If we don't get it together, that's what's going to happen. If we don't start coming up with solutions and handling things in a proper way and doing these petitions and really getting up, the prosecutor's butt about things, then nothing's going to change except for more bloodshed. More bloodshed. Now, for police, I want you guys to understand, and I want you to really hear what I'm saying here. And I by no means am I saying the lives of these people matter or don't matter, okay? Let me correct that. They do. But I want you to listen to, I probably should have put on a little thing, but listen to the statistics. The amount of people that have been shot by a police officer from 2015 were 994 people. In 2016, it went to 962. In 2017, it went to 986. And some of the, we're talking, some of those people have died, whether it's lawfully or unlawfully. 2018 was 992. 2019 was 1,004. And for 2020, it's 549, with 9 people that have, out of that 449, have died in this year. That means that has been cut in half. Now, yes, I know we've been in lockdown and all that, but my point is, this is the point. This is average of a year. Australia loses 20,000 children a year. Canada loses 45,000 a year. Germany loses 100,000 a year. India loses 96,000 a year. Russia loses 45,000 a year. Spain loses 20,000. The UK loses 112,000. And the US loses 460,000 children a year. Those numbers have been steadily for the last 6 years. Those are statistics. Those are steady numbers for the last 6 years. Now, I'm not saying that the 549 people that were misdone with the police officers do not matter. So please don't twist my words, because that's not what I'm saying. But my gosh, if we look at 549, but yet we've lost 460,000 children, look at the number difference. Look at that number difference. But yet we're not in an uproar for them. Where are the signs for them? Where are the protests for them? Where are the demands and the petitions for this? Where are they? Because people really don't want change. Because if you really wanted change, you would stand in this. Because this isn't black children, white children, brown children, Asian children. These are all children. These are all children. We support these people. Do you realize that, right? You guys support these people that do this. You support it by not saying anything. You support it by the products that you buy. You support it by the movie stars and stuff that you idolize that are involved in it. You support it by the not reporting when you see stuff on Facebook. You know, and we don't mean to support it. So I'm not trying to say that, people, there's a lot of, majority of us do not mean to support it, but we are. It doesn't matter if we mean to or not now. Okay? That might have been for before, but for now you are. So we've got to do something to change that. We've got to do something about how we're doing this. 460,000 freaking kids a year are just gone. We don't know where they are. There's no explanation. They're not found. This isn't even topping the ones that are abused, the ones that are murdered, or the ones that, are in CPS. That number's not even in there. That's freaking ridiculous. So I'm sorry. If kids' lives don't matter, if the future of our country doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what country you're in, if the future, because the kids are the future, if that life doesn't matter, then nobody's lives matter. Then nobody's lives matter. Everybody can sit here and bitch, piss, and moan and go back and forth and change the football team and, I feel that's racist, blah, blah, blah. Come on, guys. And meanwhile, these cities have children in them that are listening to all the violence. They're hearing everything. They're even being groomed. There was a video with, a couple kids say, fuck the police. And, they got it, they're, 6, 7 years old saying this, carrying signs. We're losing grip on the real issue here. We make the system. We are powerful. But if we don't want another civil war, which is what I've seen us go into, that's what I have visualized in my remote viewing, which is horrible what I've done. What I asked to be seen, and let me tell you, I was out of commission for 3 or 4 days. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was crying. I was really, really distraught at what I saw. And that is where we're headed if we don't stop. And this is why I'm making this video, is because, and I hope it stays up. It may not, maybe nobody wants to see it. I don't know, but at least I'm saying it. I've asked you guys to help me and share it. That's all I can do. That's all I can do. And then do my part. And then if anybody wants to, come and join the group and help me get more information and help get things. But, each city has their hot spot. My goal is to have a few people in us here in this area where I am and protest in those hot spots, but not hooping and hollering, just walking around holding signs, making people be aware, hey, this is a hot spot, so people can pay more attention. See, the problem is our attention span isn't very long. We're not paying attention to our surroundings. We go out in public and we don't really pay attention to what's going on. We got our face in our fucking phone. And that's what we're doing. We got our face in our phone when we're driving. We got our face in our phone when we're eating dinner. We got our face in our phone when we're sitting in the room with our family. And you wonder why people just don't give a shit. We're getting desensitized, and you can see things that are horrific and just say, that's so sad. No bullshit. DJ showed me and luckily the guy was caught, but one of the Black Lives Matter leader in a section of the country, I forget what part, he took a video proud where his knee is on the child's neck, 2 years old, and a guy holding the kid's arm, and the kid's, you can tell the kid's screaming and crying. And this, in the caption, I forget what the caption said. I was just appalled by what I saw. So we've got to be careful and, understand that this can turn into a real ugly hate race war, just like the Civil War. What do you think the Civil War was? Come on, guys. What do you think the Civil War was? This is what the Civil War was. So we can have that again. But that will be massive loss for no reason. For something you cannot change. Do you understand that? You cannot change the way people think. I'm not condoning what they think, but, if you think positive, then there's going to be a negative out there. This is what you're being taught here in the spiritual realm. There's always an opposite. There's always going to be an opposite. The only way you can combat that, you can only combat that with accountability for actions. For actions. Accountability for actions. But you can't hold people accountable for being racist because they have the same right to be racist as you have to not be racist. It's the same. And I know that's not what people want to hear. I know that, but that is the truth. We can't change that. So can we not come together as a country and focus on what we can change and come up with some solutions? This has been going on for months. And in the meanwhile, there's people just losing their livelihoods. People that own businesses, people out there actually dying, people, it's just horrible. And it doesn't need to be that way. But everybody is in their emotions. And we if you're over here and you're not a part of that, then you can real easily, this is why I do the meditation, so we can send out positivity. We can focus, so we can see what we can do. We can come together, our minds, and come up with things that we can do. This is our problem. This isn't their problem over there. Oh, it's not. It's just a lefties problem. Oh, it's a rights problem. Oh, it's a blacks problem. Oh, it's a white problem. No. Even the ideology is getting worse and worse. Now you've got white privilege. Come on, guys, can we think about what's really privileged? There's, 2% of the world is rich? Those people are the privileged ones. You can't call somebody, you can't beat racism with racism. You can't say, well, because you're white, you got white privilege. But that's not that person's fault. Just like it's not your fault you're black. It's just the way it is. And this all goes back, and we have to talk about this. We have to get out of this victim mentality. And I am speaking to the black community. You guys need to quit focusing your energy on what's happening to you, what has happened, and take your power back. And understand you are powerful, and you can live whatever life you want to live. You can accomplish anything you want to accomplish. This goes for anybody, but the mentality, is like, you gotta give it to me. No, we already have it. See, this is what you need to learn. We all have this power. We all feel hopeless to what's going on, but there's no reason to feel hopeless. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt seeing what's going on. I'm not saying it's not going to be difficult conversation. I'm not saying that it's pretty, but come on, guys, we have to get to a point where we come together as a nation and focus our energy on where it should go. Let's put some things in place for the police. Sit down, all you protesters that are out there, not just defund the police. I mean, that's like, I'm sorry, but that's a really crazy slogan. Defund for what? That's not what the problem is. The problem isn't money. Do you understand? As I was a restaurant manager for Taco Bueno for 8 years, and I almost made $60,000 a year. A cop would be lucky to make $45,000, $50,000. A restaurant manager can make more money than a police officer or a teacher. So it's not the money. The money, if anything, they're underpaid. It's an underfunded program. Okay? It's underfunded. So that's not the issue. The issue is accountability and the structure of discipline. That's the problem with the police. So where's your ideas for that? Have you done the research and seen what their disciplinary action is? What do they do when a police officer gets in trouble or hurts somebody? What is the procedure? Da, 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 da. Look at all the procedure and then come up with a better solution. That's what you have to do for that. But going out here and all this ruckus and stuff is not good. Meanwhile, 2,000 kids go gone a day. Meanwhile, kids are being cut open and their organs stolen. Meanwhile, pedophiles are able to do all kinds of horrific things. Meanwhile, satanic people are able to do. Meanwhile, parents are able to abuse their children and do whatever they want to do. Do you not see? The energy and the attention needs to be shifted. And we need to focus on how, to get in action. We need to focus on getting our children back. And if for any of y'all that don't believe that kind of stuff exists in the world, I'm sorry. Maybe it's not your time to know. But that doesn't change reality. And that's something we all have to understand. Truth doesn't give a fuck if you like it. It could care less if you like what it has. It just is. Truth is just is. Some say there's one side to the story and another side to the story. In the middle is truth. But there's some truth out there. It's just what it is. There is no other side. And that's the part that we have to, suck in, as a community and transmute. You have to do something with this information. You have to transmute the emotions that you're feeling. And this is why we're seeing what's going on, is because people all these emotions are rising and they don't know what to do with these emotions. They don't know how to transmute. And that's key. Let me tell you, that's key. I would done been dead. So, we can't be in fear. That's the main thing. We cannot be in fear here, guys. We have to come together and not be in fear. And when you know someone else is feeling fear, then you send them positive energy and you send them love and you help them through that fear. Don't just ignore it. And for those of you that are so-called awakening or awoke, you call yourself awoke, let me tell you something. Awakening is a long journey process. It really doesn't end until our death. We're constantly evolving and awakening. But for those of you that are awoke, that are just looking at other people, calling them sheep, calling them stupid, calling them all kinds of names, degrading them because they don't know things, then you're just as bad as the information that you're spreading. That's just as bad as the information you're spreading. Because the intent, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do with that information. If your intent is out of, well, you dumb SOBs, look what's going on, then you're just as bad as that information. Does that make sense? We've got to really, really, be there for each other and really come together. We need to be meditating. And when we meditate, we need to be sending out and we need to be focusing on, good things for the kids. And even if you don't want to touch this subject of women and children being trafficked and the children being, think of it, if you can't handle that, that's okay. Focus on the kids that are living in all this confusion and this ruckus. And, how many are being, the mental health of the children. Everybody's like, don't send your kids to school, to the online school. That, if that's the answer, that's the answer. But the mental health of the children are really at stake here. They're the ones going to have to live through it. Half of you guys are going to be here for about another 25, 30 years. And then you're out of here. These kids have a whole lifetime to live. And they'll be affected, and they'll make decisions, and they will grow up accordingly. We all are here to make the world a better place. We are all healers. Nobody is better than anybody else. Nobody has this special little trick. The only thing that's different between us is that some of us have tapped in and some of us haven't. That's all. That's the only thing that's different. But for those that are tapped in now, going to the light workers, you guys, if you know this, you need to be talking on this subject. People are so scared to talk about this subject, but we have a job to do as spiritual workers. I don't even like the word light worker. Spiritualists. As spiritualists, we have a job to not only inform people, but we also have a job to help heal people and teach them how to transmute and how to deal with things. There's no, spreading more fear or feeding that fear just so you can make some money is just as bad as the situation. Just like the person with the bad intent spreading the information. The information may be good to get out, but if that person's intent's not there, that's just as bad. They're equal now. There's no polarity. And, this is really, really important for us as a collective. It really, really is. You had a group of doctors come out and say about, y'all need to watch that live. You really do. You need to watch it. It's very important, you know. You need to pay attention to what's really going on. Turn off the mainstream media. There's plenty of media people that are reporting for, it's not politic driven, it's just fact driven. But you have to hunt for those channels. I'll put a few of the links in that group. But you know, you guys, got to think about it. What are some ideas? What can we do? You know, we can't just sit here with our thumbs up our ass, going, well, oh well, it's not happening in my house. Well, that attitude may be getting the military at your house. Because if this stuff doesn't stop, then it's, military action is the next recourse. Y'all do understand that, right? Y'all do understand the next recourse is military action. It has to be. Because no country can survive without law and order. Because of free will. Even the universe has law and orders. So for those of you all that don't want the police at all, come on, man. The universe, source, God, whatever you call them, it's all based on laws. So I come to you guys, and I just plead for you to please, let's work on the victim mentality. My message to the black community is realize your power, understand your worth. You already have it. Everything lies within you. And for the other side that are racist, you're racist because you're scared of something. If you're programmed that way, then unprogram yourself. And my message for the spiritualists is, man, guys, y'all need to come and help me talk about this. We need to talk. We need to help people. We need to share this information, and we need to help people heal from it. This isn't a competition. And for you guys out there that are learning this stuff, you need to be very careful and pay attention to who you're following. And make sure that you're learning how to connect to your higher source so you can discern. And learn how to see information and hear information and take that information and grow, feel it, integrate it, and then transmute it. Okay? I'm telling you guys, we're all been complicit. Myself included. I should have been raising hell about this way back in the day. But I didn't. I just didn't want to deal with that trauma. And I wanted to try to make the best life possible for my children because I was a single mom. I became a mom at 17. In fact, I was homeless when I was pregnant at 17. I mean, I used to have to go to my brother's bedroom window and he would sneak food out. But that's how I ate. He would skip dinner. He'd get double helpings and stuff at lunch and breakfast. But dinner he would skip and give it to me. There's other issues that we need to be facing and demanding changes on. And there's constructive ways to go about getting change. And anybody that has any ideas, if you have any ideas, please reach out to me. You will have to reach out. I'm using WhatsApp. If you want to communicate with me, it's connected to my page. Or you can go to the Discord and I can chat with you one-on-one in the Discord. But I'm not chatting any more deep information on this platform. It's just not, I'm just not getting myself, it's so rigged. Everything's so rigged, So, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I have seen civil war coming, and you know, we've got to band together and understand that we have to stand in our power and know our worth and take our country back. That doesn't mean that we have to be a racist to feel that way. Every one of you in all your countries, because everybody's country is going a little crazy and doing crazy shit. Everybody needs to take back their power and take back their country and say enough is enough on our children. Get your fucking hands off our children. Leave our children alone. And for the other issues, instead of banging up and burning stuff and acting, screaming, hooping, and hollering, go come up with a plan. Go up with the solution. Go find the problem. Don't just standing there with the sign and saying, oh, you know, the police have killed this many people this year. Da, da, da. Okay, well, what's your plan to stop that? And, you know, guys, we have to take accountability in our communities. If your community screwed up, you're a part of it, then you're part of that screwed up community. You can't just point the finger. We all make our communities. Everything starts in the home. It goes from the home, the school, to the community, to the nation. If you know a single mom that's having a hard time, then you should reach out and help. Whatever you can, whether it's $10, $15, buy her some milk, bread, whatever. You should be reaching out and doing something. Maybe she needs her yard mowed. Maybe she needs some help with her car. I don't know, but do something. Help each other. Become a community again. Not just on Facebook. This Facebook community is fake. Do you know how quick somebody can get mad and just delete you and forget you? What kind of shit is that? How can you be friends with people for years and then all of a sudden, that's it? That's not real. But everybody is caught up in their community online that they're not paying attention to the community that they live in. Pay attention to who is in charge of your district. Do you know the name of the person that's in charge of your district? Do you know the school, the chief of your school and the chief of police? Do you know their names? Do you vote for them? See, we have to take our own accountability for what's going on here. Yes, there's others doing a lot of bad stuff, but us sitting on the sidelines and not doing shit, we're just as bad as the ones not doing anything. That's why I'm pleading to everybody to come together and start not only just sitting around meditating and spreading love and light, but you know, come up with solutions. Reach out. There's always a way to help. Always a way to help. So that's what I had to share with you guys today. I hope that the video stays up. I hope that, you know, it got shared. I really, really appreciate you being here. I'm just telling you guys, you know, I know firsthand. And change can happen. You know, I'm the product of change in the system. You know, I would go to school and I didn't have to dress out for gym because I was so, my back of my legs were so beaten. I was told to go play in the creek during gym time. The teachers didn't do anything. The neighbors didn't do anything. The police didn't do anything. I spent 2 months in the hospital. I turned 8 years old laying in the hospital. I was beat so bad I could not move. I could not physically move, guys. I had broken bones. This arm has been broken 4 times and this one 5. 9 times my arms have been broken. Some of them in some horrific ways. And nothing was done. There was no place to go. There was no help. But people stood up. I've been beaten with hangers, extension cords, water hoses, bats. I've got plenty of good little scars on my body that I despise. But you see, people stood up. People stood up. And you know what ended up happening? It became law that if you saw a child that was abused or had bruises, you had to call them. That CPS started taking in kids like my age. Because, see, I was 10, and when I went and I lived on the streets, I finally went to the shelter, but they're like, there's nowhere to put you. There's nowhere. So I had to go to a juvenile detention center, and I didn't even do nothing wrong. I turned 12 in there. I tried to commit suicide on my 12th birthday, locked in a cell. One thing led to another. I went to a foster home. That was horrible. And then by the time I was 13, I was out on my own. The very place that I was in was shut down for abuse. You can go look it up. It's called Lloyd E. Rader. Go look it up in the 80s. And the one thing I will always, always, always regret, they did come to my grandmother's house and they wanted me to testify because we had these papers that we could sign, telling our story and return them in, and we would do that. And then one of the workers found those, and that's how it got investigated. And mine, of course, I had some in there, and I wouldn't have nothing to do with them. I was just so scared. I didn't want to be anywhere near any of it. I was 16. They were like, will you please come and testify? I'm like, no, leave me alone, because I was just so scared. Because, see, I was an adult, and technically it wasn't legal for me to be on my own. And I didn't want to go back into the system, so I was really scared. And I regret that for the rest of my life. That's one regret of not doing that, because I had to testify. I've had, my babysitter's son beat me so bad I had to testify in court over it. My stepfather kidnapped a woman, put her in the trunk of the car, and him and his friend raped her, and I was in the back of the car. So I didn't want to have anything to do. I'm telling you, I've seen some shit. And at that age, I was almost 9. I believe I was 9 when I saw that. Not to mention having to stay in the clubs and see the people that, heads and be shot off and all kinds of shootings and all kinds of stuff. But my point in sharing that with you is, when people stand up and they say no more, and they've had enough, and there's enough people that stand up for that, change happens. Now, CPS, perfect? No, they have their issues. But let me tell you, now those kids have a place to go. I was homeless and went to school. I got 2 weeks into the 9th grade. And my principal called me in and found out I was homeless and said, you can't come to school no more. You're not allowed no more. Now, granted, I ended up going to a junior college and getting my reading level up, and I've taken many classes at a university, but now that doesn't happen, right? Now they can't turn kids away. You see what I'm saying? Change can happen, but it has to happen the right way. And that's what I meant when I started this video, is I am a product of change. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've lived it. I've felt it on my own body. And I have scars on my soul from it. And I'm telling you, we can come together for these kids and we can make real change. But it's going to have to take a commitment. And you're going to have to learn how to see truth feel truth and transmute truth and stay in love. And I ask that you please join me, or whatever. You don't have to join me. You can go join, whatever, but just be a part, do something. And that is my message, and that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Okay? Much love. Thank you for being here. And please give it some consideration of just sit and meditate on what I've said. See what your higher self says to do. And for those of you in the thick of things, protesting, come up with some solutions. Don't let the racists deter you. Stay focused and come up with solutions. But learn how to learn your delivery. And for those of you scared of the virus, stop it. Stop it. Please get out of fear. Much love. I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And please, 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 please learn that you're powerful. We are the people. We dictate. We own this. We have power. We stand in it, and we come together as one. Because at the end of the day, we're all one. Much love. Adios.